back to eating my dinner, so let's get this thing rolling.
When we
I don't even know
saw
what we're gonna talk
that
about.
guy's rankings where Devontae Adams was his number 2 receiver and you kind of joked around about him being your number 1, I thought you were joking. I can't believe you pulled the trigger on that.
Well, it made so much sense in my head, and I was a little drunk, but still makes sense. Like, the one guy who's going to be the most consistent is going to be the one with the best quarterback in the entire league, who's had 2 top 7 quarterbacks like 3 different years. So why would I not have the most reliable wide receiver, in my opinion, at the number 1 spot? Yeah, I'll go fuck. He's the number 1 stomach.
At least you admitted that you were drinking, so let's get loaded. Hey, welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first, because we finish last. I feel like we should play a game where I guess the song. I don't know if the people don't know, but I can't hear it, so I feel like I should guess what we played. So my guess this time is going to be "In My Feelings" by Drake. Was that it?
Oh no, that was not it. I'm gonna wait.
Fuck.
I'm gonna wait to spoil it for you. But this is the Loaded Box Podcast. That was DJ Primo. I am Ben Morgan. Thank you once again for listening. We are back for episode number 2, I guess, of our fantasy football rankings. We are doing quarterbacks that we're ranking 1 through 12. If you missed the last episode, you got to get caught up. We did numbers 13 through 24. So just like we did in that last episode, we're going to go through the rankings. We'll do that one at a time real quick, but then we'll go back and we'll pick out guys that we would target and those that we would avoid based on their current ADP. So, DJ, I want to give you a quick second. I know in the quick intro you were talking about Devontae Adams. We released our updated fantasy football rankings today on the website. It's www.loadedboxpodcast.wordpress.com. Check that out for our podcast blogs and fantasy rankings. But those fantasy rankings, DJ, Devontae Adams is your number 1 wide receiver. Is that going to change before the first fantasy draft that you have?
No chance.
No chance?
No chance. That's all
Have you
I gotta
heard
say.
of Odell Beckham? Have you heard of Julio Jones? Have you heard
Julio
of
Jones.
DeAndre
Get that
Hopkins?
Julio Jones the fuck out of here. Give me shit. Julio Jones can't do shit when he's got Matt Ryan for his fucking quarterback.
Your
Don't even
language
like
is
him.
offensive.
Well, Matt Ryan's a racist.
I don't know if that's the case. But
I'm confident of it.
I don't know, man. I think you're going to want to re-go through those. But
Nope.
all right, well, thanks for that input. All right, like I said, we're doing quarterbacks 1 through 12 today, so let's start it with the reverse countdown. DJ, go ahead with your number 12. We'll zip through yours, we'll zip through mine, and then we will go back and we will touch on those players with our fantasy thoughts.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, number 12, I have Aaron Rodgers. Number 11, Aaron Rodgers. That was funny. Anyways, okay, number 12, which surprised myself, I have Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco. Okay, next. Number 11, Matt Ryan, Atlanta. Number 10, Drew Brees, New Orleans Saints. Number 9, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota. That's weird. Number 8, Jared Goff, Los Angeles of the Rams. 7, Tom Brady. 6, Cam Newton. I shouldn't have to say their team names. If you don't know, then now you know, nigga. Number 5, Matthew Stafford. Number 4, Andrew Luck. Number 3, Russell Wilson. Number 2, Carson Wentz. And number 1, Aaron Rodgers.
All right. So here's my top 12. Number 12, Matt Ryan. Number 11, Phillip Rivers. Number 10, Jared Goff. Number 9, Kirk Cousins. Number 8, Jimmy Garoppolo. Number 7 is your boy Carson Wentz. Number 6 is Cam Newton. Number 5, a guy that's not in your top 12 because he's in your 13 through 24 and you're the only person in the world.
America.
Houston's quarterback Deshaun Watson. Number 4, Russell Wilson. Number 3, Drew Brees. Number 2, Tom Brady. And our consensus number 1 is Mr. Rodgers of your Green Bay Packers. So, DJ, let's go back to your number 12 and let's talk. Is he properly ranked? Is he a little overrated? Is he underrated? Are you targeting him? Let's just chat it out.
All right, so Jimmy Garoppolo is going at I didn't bring up what number quarterback he's going at. Do you have the ADPs up?
I got your.
I know.
back
I got
here,
the ADP. Do you have what quarterback he's going? He's 7.09 ADP.
which is quarterback 9.
Quarterback 9. I have him at quarterback 12. Honestly, even there, I think he's still a little overrated for a guy that you haven't seen play a whole season as quarterback 9. It doesn't make much sense to me when you don't get a full year's tape. You get in the end of the year where you're playing against teams that are kind of already there or teams that have just given up on the season. You can't really make a judgment until you see a quarterback going into the season with everybody going all out and just balling. And I put Jimmy Garoppolo at 12 because I feel like he did show me some things. I'm usually not a big fan of quarterbacks that haven't been proven at all and just are like lighting it up like Deshaun Watson. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he has a little bit of something else. Like I think he does actually. Like I think he's taken that. He's the one guy that's taken the Aaron Rodgers approach since Aaron Rodgers and actually applied it. Is going to apply it and is going to become not Aaron Rodgers but become a successful quarterback. It just seems to have it hit. He doesn't get rattled. He's calm. He's got a good arm. He's just like he's super good looking. That's an automatic. So I put him at 12 just because it seems fair. I think 7.09 and 9th quarterback are a little bit high for him. I think he should go more 10th round in my opinion for a guy that hasn't played the whole season just because you don't know what you have and everybody just gets a boner. Like Derek Anderson was like the ultimate dude. He did a full season of this shit.
Right.
Like there's a few guys that just did a full season of this and then they come back the next year and it's like, what happened? I just can't jump on that guy. If I'm wrong, I'm okay with that.
For the lady,
like if he comes out and lights it up, I'm okay with it.
For the lady listeners, is Jimmy Garoppolo the best looking NFL quarterback, or do you got someone else? The only one that can give him a run for his money isn't even in the league anymore, and I think that'd be Tim Tebow.
Aaron Rodgers? Oh, yeah, confused there.
Aaron Rodgers looks like a rat. If he wasn't a quarterback, he would not be dating any of these models. He's dating a race car driver at this point.
How dare you? How absolutely
He looks
dare
like a
you,
wet
sir?
rat.
A rat?
Wet one.
He doesn't look like Coach K.
Okay,
all right?
Coach K does look like a mouse.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
fucking
give you
right
that.
there.
I'll give you that. So, all right, we're talking Jimmy G here. He is, give me 1 second here. He's my 8th ranked quarterback. I think that he's properly ranked there. I've got him basically ranked right where his ADP is, but I think on draft day I'm probably going to pass on him. I'm okay with his weapons. I like Marquise Goodwin. I really like Pierre Garçon. I'm just a little bit concerned that he missed so much time and he's getting a little older. I like Kittle. I like McKinnon. But I named all those names, and they don't have like that bona fide superstar that you're taking as a wide receiver 1 or as a running back 1. So I'm a little bit concerned trying to rely on Garoppolo as my quarterback 1 because that's likely what he'd have to be for you based on that ADP. I think the one thing that sells me a little bit on Garoppolo is that his pairing with Kyle Shanahan. We saw Matt Ryan throw 38 touchdowns 2 years ago with him calling the shots.
And he sucks.
Just like that, though, Jimmy G doesn't have a guy like Julio. So I think middle of the 7th round is a little bit high for me since, like you said, he didn't even play a full season yet. So properly ranked, but just not the guy, not the quarterback for me if he's going to be my QB1.
Sometimes Matt Ryan forgets he has a guy like Julio. doesn't he?
Well said. That should be our analysis for Matt Ryan is sometimes he forgets that he is one of the most physically freakish receivers in the history of the world.
Yeah.
All right, that's their 12. What's your number 11?
Number 11 is the just aforementioned Matt Ryan.
There he is.
Look, I fucking hate Matt Ryan. It's on record. Julio Jones had what, three touchdowns last year? I think I
I
remember.
think he caught one from Mohamed Sanu, so he had almost
Okay.
just as many.
Matt Ryan touchdowns 3, I think. Otherwise, he just doesn't he had a ton of yards. I understand that, but how do you not throw it to the most talented wide receiver in the league in the red zone? Excuse me, sorry about that.
Man, you were a train wreck.
I am. I'm hungry. But he's overrated. 9.01. He's probably, he's going behind Jimmy Garoppolo, so that probably puts him around QB 10 or 11.
He's at QB 11.
Yeah. So I have him exactly where he's going. I still think he's overrated. I just can't trust a guy who's had one great season in like the last 8 years, and it was like the MVP season 2 years ago.
Right.
But then he just bounces back to the regression that we all thought that he would do the year that they went to the Super Bowl. It's just he can't. He's just not consistent. He can't grasp the fact that he has so much talent around him. I always thought he was going to be Peyton Manning, and he just never got there. And he just doesn't like take advantage of that weapon. So I'm not taking him on my team at 9.01. He has great weapons. He's going to put up decent numbers. He'll probably finish inside the top 15 for sure. But I'm not taking him at 9.01 when I think I can get guys, as we talked about in the last episode, easily at 13 through 24 that are going to outscore him.
All right, it's time to ring the disagree bell because this is going to be our first disagreement of the day.
Good.
Because he's my 12th ranked quarterback, and I think he's properly ranked. And I think that I would definitely target him end of the 8th, early 9th. But what I'll say is Matt Ryan is one of those quarterbacks where I would draft two quarterbacks close to each other. Like, I'm not super sold on him. I would draft two quarterbacks with him, but I'm not opposed to him being one of them.
I don't understand what you just said.
I would want two decent quarterbacks. Okay, so last year
You're just like saying that you like him there, but wait, I want to draft one just in case because
that's what I
kind of sucks.
Okay, so in the league last year, for example, I drafted Matthew Stafford, came back like 2 rounds later and took Phillip Rivers. I played matchups. I got lucky. I literally never played the wrong quarterback, and it worked out brilliantly, and it didn't kill me because I got like one in the 8th and one in the 10th round. So that's kind of how I would envision using Matt Ryan this year. I'm not avoiding him. I would target him in that kind of situation.
In the 8th or 9th round, when you can, like, there's multiple quarterbacks we have rated below him. I think I'm going to finish ahead of them.
Did you know Matt Ryan threw 18 less touchdowns last year than he did 2 years ago in that MVP year?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, so from saying that, though, I'm not saying Matt Ryan's going to hit 38 touchdowns again like he did 2 years ago. But if he can get like 25 to 30 touchdowns, if he can get around 4,200 yards, I think that justifies an early 9th round pick, and I don't think that it's a stretch.
Did you know that every other year besides the year he went to the Super Bowl, he's been the biggest disappointment at quarterback
There was
ever?
one year he threw 32 touchdowns, so take it easy on him. Let's give him one more year.
That guy
damn it.
is a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit, and you know it. You were talking so much shit about him the year before it, and now you're fucking back on this train because he had a decent
I'm a
year.
man of
I don't
faith. You
understand. Muhammad Sanu was a better
forgive,
quarterback than he
man.
is.
You gotta let things go. You gotta forgive every once in a while.
You can't though when it's like 5-6 years in a row of just forgetting that he has the best wide receiver and just being garbage with the most talent in like the league. How do you forget that? And then just doing it again after the year they go to the Super Bowl.
Because just like
And
real
blow a
burns,
35-3.
there's levels of being burned in fantasy football, and he's
There's
only
different
burned me at
levels
like
of
a
shit.
1st degree. It's never been like a 2nd or 3rd degree burn with me and Matt Ryan. So
Oh, he's burned. I'm
it's only
dead.
a surface.
I am dead because of Matt Ryan. That's what we're going on levels of burn.
All right, who do you have ranked right ahead of Matt Ryan?
Drew Brees, and as I talked about before, he's going 6.04. Probably puts him about quarterback 4 or 5. I'm struggling
Quarterback
here.
6.
So quarterback 6 in the 6th round. Pretty cool. Anyways, he makes me nervous because I think they have changed the philosophy of that entire offense to their running team. You know, they've got the combination of Mark Ingram, they've got the combination of Alvin Kamara, they've got the defense that improved drastically last year.
Big time.
So they can win in multiple ways, but you just didn't see Drew Brees ball out like you used to. And I think you're going to continue to see that. He's getting older. I think Sean Payton is changing his strategy. I think he's one of the smarter head coaches in the league that has the ability to do that. So, you know, don't overextend Drew Brees getting in his older age. Take what you have, use the talented guys around him, and when you have to throw. But I mean, that's just, I think going top 5 is way too high for an offense that I think is just changing their entire philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's just what I think it is. I know everybody's going to reference stats from years before last year. I don't think it matters. I think it all comes down to what the offense is becoming.
You talked about Sean Payton being one of like the better head coaches in the league. Remember just a few years ago when he was on the hot seat, but now all of a sudden once management gave him a running back to play with and helped out the defense, how much better they look, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he's our savior again. It's like,
I mean, yeah, they develop a defense. It's like classic Aaron Rodgers. Mark McCarthy situation. But Mike McCarthy is a bad offensive scheme coach. I think that's pretty clear. But it's like the defense was so terrible for so long that it's just hard to.
I wish I would have brought this up earlier because I think this is episode of the Loaded Box podcast 136. And we were going to talk about Aaron Rodgers no matter what today because we're talking about the top 12 quarterbacks. But for the 136th straight episode, you have referenced Aaron Rodgers, and this time you couldn't even wait for the time that we're actually going to even talk about him.
But it makes sense. The reference makes sense, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
They've had like the most talented quarterback with a coach and a really good offense, except Aaron Rodgers is good enough to take his team to the playoffs every year. He's healthy. Drew Brees just, I guess, isn't.
Yeah, it's like Tebow. I mean, he took his team to the playoffs too.
Just like that.
All right, so Drew Brees, another one we're probably going to disagree on a little bit because he's my quarterback 3. I think he's properly ranked. I understand what you're saying. He could possibly be a little high here if you believe that last year was an indication of where the Saints' offense is heading. I think my biggest concern with Brees is who he has outside of Michael Thomas, especially in the passing game. But I feel like every single year with a guy like Drew Brees over the last, 5 kind of years, that's always been my concern. It's kind of like he's had one special playmaker, but he's that quarterback that elevates the play of everyone around him. He's making Ted Ginn fantasy relevant every single year. So I think that's my biggest concern. I mean, he's rolling with Ginn, Cam Meredith, who's not even 100% back yet. I think he will be, but in OTAs, he was doing individual drills, so he's not even cleared, I don't believe, to even participate in team drills yet. So there's a little bit of concern there. He does have Kamara and Ingram out of the backfield as well, so that'll help his passing. But if they're relying on those guys, obviously, to carry more of the load and then make Drew Brees more efficient when he passes the ball, yeah, that's going to dip into his numbers. I just don't know exactly. Like I said, I have him 3. I don't know who I would rank ahead of him outside of my top 2 guys to justify this. So I think he is properly ranked. I just don't think he's the quarterback for me once again.
I mean, I don't even know what to say because you dropped all these numbers and things on him, and then you just said I don't think he's a quarterback for me once again. So I don't even know. I don't even know how to respond.
What you do is you play both sides of the fence, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You can just say pass.
I just think no, there's no pass. I feel like you argued against me and then for me at the very end of it, and you really fucked my brain up there. Anyways, yeah, fuck off. I don't know, man. You've really fucked with me. I think I'm having an aneurysm or something right now. Drew Brees isn't he's just not worth the 6.04 pick with the way the offense is going right now. I think that's just how it is.
You mentioned that. Who do you got ranked before Drew Brees?
Kirk Cousins.
Woo!
University of Minnesota. 7.06 is an ADP.
Quarterback 8.
Look. Quarterback 9.
Quarterback 9.
Quarterback 8. My quarterback 9. This is tough for me because I fucking hate Minnesota, and I do think you're going to see a regression just in general. I forget what the exact first 5 games are, but it's like that they play against. It's like maybe the toughest first 5 games you've ever seen. Like they could actually go 1-5. So I think you're going to see that regression, but at the same time, you could see those games like being shootouts as well because he's done it in Washington where he's put up huge numbers, but those are mostly yards. I'm worried that he just struggles in the red zone. Like he just can't do it. Like he's a 25 touchdown guy a year, but he throws up 4,500 yards.
Right.
And I think he's gonna. I don't know. Something does it to me in my mind. Something's not gonna click. Whether it's they rely on him too much. The Vikings rely on Kirk Cousins too much, and he makes a lot of mistakes where they're just not relying on their defense and running it like they did last year, or they just don't use him at all. It's gonna be one of the two. Like there's gonna be like one extreme or the other in my head, and it's gonna hurt his value in general. So I'm taking both sides right now.
Right.
It just worries me. Plus he's gonna throw a ton of. I'm on record saying this. He's gonna throw a ton of interceptions to the Packers. He's just gonna do it. I'm telling you this right now. He's the new Jay Cutler of the NFC. He's the new Jay Cutler. Somebody has to come in and replace him. Right. Like after he left, Kirk Cousins has to do it. He's the guy I'm going to make fun of all these Vikings fans, but he's still going to put up good numbers. He's got Stephon Diggs. He's got Adam Thielen, who's maybe the best hands in the entire league. He's got another reliable tight end in Kyler Rudolph, so he's going to put up pretty solid numbers. He's got Delvin Cook, but I think it's just going to be an overall regression in general. Top 5. What he finished last year?
That's part of what I want to talk about. He finished quarterback 4 last year, and 2 years ago he was quarterback 5. So 2 straight years.
So it's 4 and 5 the last 2 years. But I'm worried about the offense that he's been put in, something that he hasn't experienced. It's going to be a little bit different. He was used differently in Washington. It's a completely different situation. They're just garbage. They had to throw the ball a ton. It's not going to be the same. I don't think he is the quarterback that everybody thinks he is. He just got a good opportunity to throw it a lot. I think a lot of quarterbacks could succeed in that type of offense to just air it out. I'm interested to see how he fits in somebody who has a completely different strategy. Again, not a numbers guy. I'm a fit guy. I like to see where guys go. I think it's going to be a completely different fit, but who knows?
So we've addressed the fact that DJ's a fit guy. He's going to be in magazines.
I'm very fit. I'm sexy as fuck.
All right, so you brought up a good point that I've never thought about before, and it's the fact that because the Vikings brought him in and paid him all that money,
overrated.
Are they going to change up their scheme a little bit and rely on him more because of the fact that they invested so much in him? Or are they going to keep the scheme the way that it's been working, rely on that defense, rely on the run game, and have Cousins make plays when he needs to? So that's going to be something interesting to monitor. I mean, we have no idea. We can make predictions all day long. But you really don't know how they're going to do that when you pay a guy that much money, especially guaranteed money.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you can definitely start most weeks, but I don't think he's going to finish top 5. I think it's going to be more 10 to 15 this year.
Yeah.
And that's why I have him down at the 9 position, because I'm a little more conservative on him. With this new team, I think if he was with Washington still, I would actually have him up a little bit higher, because he just has a tendency to throw a ball more, and that's just kind of what he has to do, especially with that offense, that defense. Just everything about Washington sucks. And he's a decent enough quarterback with weapons that he's become to trust in Washington. These are new. Everything's new here, and it makes me hesitate a lot.
Yeah, I think halfway through the 7th round, I guess I would have to say that's kind of properly ranked. I'd be a little nervous taking him.
I hate that. I hate quarterbacks before round 8.
Okay, yeah, I get that too, but I'm also taking the mindset that not everyone's like me. And if you're going to take a quarterback, where you have to end up taking this guy in order to take him. So yeah, all these guys I would probably pass on, or the damn near majority of them. But that's just my strategy. So I'm saying, based on if you're taking a quarterback in this position, I don't think midway through the 7th round is that terrible. What I would be is a little bit nervous taking the quarterback on a new team in the 7th round when there's so many quarterbacks I like later. So that's, I think, what we're both trying to say here, but in different ways. I see what people are seeing in him, though, because of those numbers that he's put up the last 2 years. You just said top 5 finishes the last 2 years. But yeah, Washington throws the ball a lot more than what the Vikings are projected to do, with Dalvin coming back, with Murray still being on the roster, with just the overall scheme of what they do. But I do think Thielen, Diggs, Rudolph, that's better, obviously, than what Cousins had. So I don't think it's a far stretch to say his numbers couldn't be better. I just don't know if a top 5 quarterback finishes in his future. But I get why people would take him there. So I think he's properly ranked.
So I'm looking at the schedule. So it's 49ers.
Good defense.
Packers.
Improved defense.
Bills, the one bad team.
Shitty defense.
Rams and Eagles in their first 5 games.
Improved defense and really good defense. That is a hell of a stretch to start.
Yeah, that makes me scared in general. And it's just, they have the Saints, they have the Packers again, the Bears who improved, the Patriots. They have just a gauntlet of teams this year that they didn't face last year, and they got to face 2 games against Aaron Rodgers. I think we're going to see a natural regression out of Minnesota because the competition just gets that much stiffer, and Aaron Rodgers is better, and Chicago's offense is going to be better this year. It's going to be different than what you saw. It's not going to be what they had to face like last year. This is a tough lead to go against.
Right. Well, and
it's not Aaron Rodgers.
For hating the Vikings and for hating Kirk Cousins, you sure had a lot to say about that guy. So let's move on to who you have ranked right before him.
And here's a guy I think is properly rated. Jared Goff of the Rams at 10.02. He has already developed rapport with Robert Woods. He's starting to develop rapport with Cooper Kupp, like 2 guys who are great possession run receivers, and now you've got a guy they brought in as a guy who can just kind of take the top off the defense, who they just paid, what, $70 million
A lot of
today?
millions of dollars for him.
Lots of $1 million on a 5-year contract that they obviously have a lot of confidence in.
Brandon Cooks,
I know
we're
he
talking
works
about.
out. Brandon Cooks, yeah, should I have said his name? A guy that works out with Jared Goff every offseason. Again, I don't value him as high as some of the other wide receivers. I think he's a little overrated as wide receivers, but that's a guy in the offense that they just didn't have last year. Sammy Watkins just didn't fit in as well. This is a guy they obviously are playing around when they're giving him a freaking 5-year contract. That gets me a little more confidence in him. Obviously, the Patriots liked him, the Saints liked him.
But just not quite
it's
enough
weird
to hold
say.
on to him.
Apparently not enough to hang on to him, but he's been successful kind of everywhere he went.
Yeah,
right?
he's been fine. He's been really good.
Yeah.
It's just
He
no
has
one
been.
holds on to
I mean,
him.
he was the most targeted and most receptions on the Patriots, if I remember correctly, last year.
Yeah.
So
it's just teams keep wanting to give up first rounders for him. So hell, let's try it.
yeah, so it's not like the Patriots always make the right decisions. Like everybody just assumes the Patriots are gonna make the right decisions. It's not like they always do.
Right. I mean, they
It's
cut
just,
Tim
I mean,
Tebow.
Jamie Collins, I'm pretty sure had a pretty solid year, and yeah, Tim Tebow, yeah, they brought him in. Anyways, so I mean, with Todd Gurley and how they're using him in the passing game, and the combination of that and Sean McVay and how innovative he is, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. It's hard for me not to think that with like his ability to actually like adjust. I like young coaches. I think the old coaches are kind of going away, and I don't know if there's a word for that, ageism. I'm an ageist when it comes to sports nowadays. These old guys, I've seen Dom Capers, I see Mark McCarthy not changing their strategy. Again, I'm just relating it back to the Packers, not changing their strategy, and they're relying on just one guy. But you see Dom Capers' defense be terrible. They're just not adjusting to what they are. But then you see Doug Peterson come in. You see Sean McVay come in. You see Shanahan come in. The offense be successful. These young quarterbacks are coming in, and young coaches are coming in and changing offensive schemes, and they're making quarterbacks successful just off of what they're doing, using running backs more in the passing game and running different routes and schemes against defenses that they haven't seen. And I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think they're going to do it the same thing every year.
Right.
And I like the combination of that young quarterback, young coach, this thing. And like Jared Goff needed this guy, and it's clear. Like Jeff Fisher to Sean McVay was night and day.
Oh my gosh, big time. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. These young coaches are coming in, and they're not being stubborn. It's like they're going with the flow. They're taking some stuff from the college game that's worked. It almost seems like, and they're being creative with their play calling.
They're working to their strengths.
What'd you say?
They're working to the quarterback's strengths.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm there with Goff. I have him at number 10. I think he's properly ranked. I think he's quarterback 14 right now according to ADP. He was the quarterback 12 last year, so that tail end of the QB1s. Yeah, they lost Sammy Watkins. They weren't targeting him a bunch. Added Cooks.
No, not at all.
Cooper Kupp should be better. They already have the chemistry with Woods. Todd Gurley's going to lead that team fantasy-wise. I don't think that's a shocker to anyone. But yeah, McVay has that creative mind for offense, and I think Goff's going to continue to develop with him. Like you said, Goff looked like an instant bust playing with Jeff Fisher. McVay comes in, and he looks, some weeks, he wasn't awesome every week, but some weeks he looked Pro Bowl caliber. And that's only in the second league in the year, first year under McVay. So I don't mind Goff in fantasy. I think if I were to take him, I would do my double dip approach on quarterbacks. I'm taking a quarterback either shortly before or shortly after. That'd probably be my approach. But yeah, I don't mind Goff at all this year.
It only takes me a double dip before I get my girl pregnant.
Is that breaking news on the Loaded Box podcast? Are you expecting another child?
No, not at all. I don't have sex.
Is that breaking news on the Loaded Box podcast? You're practicing abstinence.
I am abstinent.
Is that your choice, though?
I have all the choices.
We'll leave that one there. Who do you have ranked right above Jared Goff?
Tom Brady at 5.04. I think he's going at quarterback 3, if I remember correctly.
Yep, quarterback 3.
He finished last year as quarterback 3. So he finished last year as quarterback 3, but I think you're going to see. I think part of it, which makes me think he's going to drop, is the addition of Sony Michel. I think I'm going to start focusing more on the fact that they're going to have to start turning to that running game. Gronk gets injured a lot. They don't have. I mean, who is their number one target? Julian Edelman's out for how many games? 4.
He's out 4
you don't have
games
Brandon
right away.
Cooks. What?
Yeah, 4 games right away.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks isn't there. Gronk is always injured, so they need to rely more on that running game and the short to immediate passes. They don't have Danny Amendola, which I'm not excited about ever, but with Tom Brady, he makes them look good. So what? Chris Hogan? Chris
7-11, baby. Chris Hogan,
right? Always open, right? I don't know if people remember that from Hard Knocks when he was playing for the Dolphins, but I know we do. I expect a natural regression. I think he's a little overrated going at 5.04 in quarterback 3. I said this on he was a bust candidate for me. I said the AFC East is really bad, and it was hard for me to pick a lot of guys, but he was my bust candidate because I just think that's too high for an offense that needs to change to a guy who's getting a lot older. Eventually, you're gonna regress. That's just going to happen, and Belichick is a smart enough guy to change the offense just as Sean Payton and the Saints did. Right. So I just don't expect the same type of numbers from year to year, from last year to this year. I predict this being the year that you see
some regression.
Yeah, well, not that, just more balance, like a different strategy from what they do. It's not going to be all on Tom Brady's shoulders. They're just going to have to
copycat
do it different. They're going to move. They're going to move a little slower in my mind. I just think they're not going to be I think they're going to move a little slower offensively, and that's going to involve the running game and developing the defense.
Interesting
so I think
take.
You're going to see a lot of slower game from the Patriots.
Yeah. I guess I have to say he's properly ranked because he's my second-ranked quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of piggybacking off what you said, I think it comes down to this. Do you take Tom Brady under the assumption that he's going to finish as a top-tier quarterback and basically give you a positional edge each week like he's done the past decade plus? Or is this the year when he starts to see a decrease in his level of play and that you're glad that you didn't use like an early fifth-round pick on him? I think that's what it's going to come down to, and that's going to be your choice as a fantasy owner. But based on how we talked about earlier, how I'm targeting quarterbacks this year, I'd have to pass on Tom Brady. Yeah, the AFC is still weaker than the NFC. I think it's much weaker at this point. But yeah, Tom Brady, relatively easy division for 6 games. I mean, we're talking about the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. There's a couple of decent defensive backs that the Jets drafted recently. Who knows what you have right now in Miami? There's a couple rotating pieces there, and the Bills are just a mess. But I think Brady's going to produce at a high level yet just because of that system that he's in. I think there is enough creativity there. There's enough playmakers still there despite losing Cooks, despite losing Edelman. I think that they'll scheme it so that he's still productive. But man, at a certain predict, there's going to be a downfall in his production and in his level of play. So yeah, do you want to bank on this not being the year and take him in the 5th? Or do you want to say, you know what, 5th round is too rich for my blood. This could be the year that he falls back. That's probably the route that I'm taking. So I'm going to have to pass on Tom Brady.
Yep. Money. On to the next?
On to the next one.
All right. So this guy, I feel like I don't hear him talked about a lot. Cam Newton, I have number 6 for Carolina, going at 6.08. That would make him quarterback
7.
So, I mean, I have him right around where he's going. I think that's properly rated. He only had 22 touchdowns passing last year, but he added on top of that 6 touchdowns on the ground, right? I think you're going to see that passing touchdown go up a few, so I could see like 26 to 28 in that range, and the rushing touchdowns to stay around the same. He added a wide receiver in DJ Moore. He's still got Devin Funchess. He's got another year with Christian McCaffrey, who's always going to be a threat in the passing game, and also going to help him on the ground as well. I mean, just in general, he's gonna get some good rushing yards. He had 754 freaking rushing yards last year.
Pretty amazing.
He's a fucking quarterback. I mean, I think you're gonna see that shit to continue. So that what makes his stock so well.
Right.
If you go with Cam Newton, I just don't think you're gonna go wrong. Like, he's a consistent guy. I'm
gonna show you some stats that maybe say that he's not, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, with the weapons around him, with the addition of that, the fact that he's 2-3 years off of that Super Bowl loss that really fucked him up, his confidence is coming back. I don't think you can go wrong with Cam Newton. I don't think you make a mistake there because you've got the rushing yards. He's a monster. When you get the goal line, like, you're confident he might be the one who scores. He's got 6 touchdowns on the ground last year.
He's always the one that scores.
Yeah, exactly. And he had 22 touchdowns in the year. He just added another wide receiver weapon. Greg Olsen should be fully healthy this year. I actually am a big fan of Cam Newton. I like him right where he is at 6.08. depending on obviously the league styles, league draft you're in. I don't like anybody at 608, but depending on the league style, league draft you're in, he's going about where he should as quarterback rankings. He's a guy I'm confident is going to just continue to put up the top 7 numbers, in my opinion.
Right. He's my sixth ranked quarterback. I would say that he's properly ranked. I would say that Cam Newton's likely the highest ranked quarterback according to ADP that I would imagine taking at his current ADP. I'm cool with taking Cam Newton. But you said that there's some consistency there. I think in certain years there's consistency there. If you look at
say it's certain confidence issues, then I don't think it's go ahead.
All right, so if you look at his actual years in fantasy, right now he's on an every other year kind of deal. Last year he was quarterback 2. The year before he was quarterback 16. 2015 he was quarterback 1. And then the year before that he was quarterback 16. So is he going to keep this every other year kind of thing going, or is he going to be a top 3 quarterback again? And if he ends up being as a top 3 quarterback, yeah, he's worth a mid-6th rounder.
I think you named the year after the big Super Bowl issue, and wasn't there a year he was injured? I can't remember, and I feel like that would have been the 16 year. But I'm not worried about that second 16 year because that was just the team just wasn't in sync after that Super Bowl. It just wasn't good. Like everything went downhill. The whole team fell apart. His confidence fell apart. It's back now. He's starting to gain it back, and with a guy like that, confidence is everything.
Right.
He's like a golfer. Like when you're hot, and you're going to stay hot for a while. So he's building back up to that, and he just went Tiger Woods for a season after he fucking, got beat over the head with a golf club by Von Miller and the Broncos. But his confidence is back.
I can't imagine Cam Newton on a golf course. I just imagine him looking way too big to be holding golf clubs.
He's a monster. But he's the least of my worries. His confidence is back at an ultimate high, and he's the kind of guy. Honestly, I feel like, and you're gonna hate this, but I feel I can relate to Cam Newton because I'm like the ultimate confidence guy. When I lose that shit, I'm a different person. But when it's back, I'm like in a whole nother world.
Like your sex drive again?
I understand his attitude. Yeah, exactly. I understand, and I feel like I can comply and empathize with his attitude. Like it takes a shot to your ego when you fucking get your ass kicked in a Super Bowl, and it takes a year or two to bounce back, but after you start getting that confidence again, everything starts rolling. He's back to rolling right now.
I just imagined you dabbing in the bedroom, and it really threw my game off. So
I'll dab in your bedroom.
No, I'm with you, though. Like I said, he's probably the highest-ranked quarterback right now that I would actually go after, and I'm going to give him some benefit of the doubt because I do like DJ Moore. Funchess is fine. Olsen's obviously good. I also like the fact that Christian McCaffrey is probably going to be seen as the primary running back now because, they're going to use him as a pass catcher. So Carolina's primary running back is going to get a decent amount of work out of the backfield in passes from Newton that's going to go to his fantasy stats. Yeah. So that's a great situation to be in if you're taking the quarterback of a team whose primary running backs, one of his biggest jobs is as a pass catcher. So Newton's obviously going to see some impact from that. So I can't argue with him. He's my 6th ranked quarterback, and honestly, I've got Watson 5. I know I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. I could see myself taking Newton over Watson right now just because I'm not quite sold 100% on Watson yet and his injury and his lack of playing, whereas Newton, he's kind of got that every other year thing going on with production, but there's really no reason that he should see a dip this year. He could easily finish as a top 5 quarterback.
Yep. And I actually, my bold prediction is that he catches a touchdown this year from Christian McCaffrey.
Nice. We should write down all your bold predictions from this episode.
Did I make another one?
Go ahead with your guy in front of Newton.
Matthew Stafford.
It's like he's French.
Matthew Stafford, Detroit. ADP is 8.08. What quarterback is he going at?
Quarterback 10.
I think he's vastly underrated. And I think he's vastly underrated every year. And I can't believe that you had him outside of your top 12. I think this guy finishes. Going back through his years, he's never not. I'm back to like 2013, 2012. He's not finished not as a number 1 QB, as a QB1 in fantasy football. Just period. And they're just going to continue to throw the ball. I know you're probably on this mindset that they're just going to start running the ball. No, they're not going to do that. Because you know what? They're in a league, number 1, that needs to throw the ball. Number two, their defense is so bad that they get so far behind that they have to throw the ball that way as well. So they're going to continue to throw the ball. They'll probably run for the first quarter, and just like make you think, yeah, they're running. Yeah,
That was fun. Let's go back to what we're used to do.
Yeah, and now we're down a little bit because our defense sucks, so we have to throw to keep up because we have a quarterback who's been throwing his entire career when he hasn't broken his goddamn shoulder. So, you remember those days when we just didn't think he was ever going to be healthy?
Right, yeah, no kidding. He could never quite get it there, but...
I don't know if people remember the first couple of years of his career where he just wasn't healthy.
And he was,
I feel
when
like
he was playing, he was playing through every kind of injury
I
imaginable.
feel like we're the old school guys. That's kind of weird to say that. Remember the Matt Stafford beginning years where he just he couldn't stay healthy, and it felt like he was never going to have a healthy year. Now he's put together multiple QB1 years in fantasy football.
Yeah.
He's going to throw the ball, and he's really good at doing that. And he's always going to be in games where he's going to have shootouts, like Green Bay. His team's going to be behind because his defense struggles. It's going to be like that all the time. I love Matthew Stafford. He was going 8.08.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I feel like I would grab in the 8th round.
Right.
If he's there.
Yeah, I gave my breakdown on Stafford in our last episode. I had him ranked as quarterback 14, but if you remember me saying that's a guy that I'm going to end up likely moving up because I'm the same way with him. I had him last year. He literally didn't let me down. I have no reason to hate on him. I don't know why he ended up. I mean, I know why he ended up as 14th. It's because I ranked 13 guys in front of him. But I think as we get closer here, my like for Matt Stafford as a quarterback on my fantasy team is probably going to shoot him up a little bit. And yeah, I'm with you, man. Like you said, he always finishes as a quarterback 1. So why is he going mid to late 8th, early 9th? I don't quite get it. But yeah, I'm going to target him as well. I don't need to hit on it too much more because I gave my breakdown and why I like him last time. But yeah, he's a guy that's going to shoot up for me for sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to start moving a little bit quicker. These last few guys, and plus we're running a little long. This one is the one I'm going to maybe spend the most time. The next 3 are just not going to be. But Andrew Luck, I have number 4, Indianapolis, 9.08. I just think I already know he's going to be healthy. I'm confident he's healthy. I'm confident he's coming back. And I just don't see anything changing. I just don't think a quarterback just goes bad. Like it's not like his shoulder's just going to make him not be able to throw. I just expect him to come back to what he was. He has the same brain. I expect that arm strength to be there. I'm confident he's throwing behind the scenes. Matter of fact, I think he's throwing the ball right now about 70 yards down the goddamn field. A fucking big size ball at this moment that we're talking about it, because that just seems like something Andrew Luck would be doing. He's all sorts of jacked up. Plus, he can run the ball. He can run around and make plays. He was the first. He's like since like Peyton Manning, he's like the last guaranteed prospect that we felt like.
Oh, for sure.
And I expect him to continue to do that once he comes back fully healthy. He makes everybody better around him. So I don't care about his weapons. I know that was your thing the other day or last week, and I expect that. I expect him just to make everybody better. I expect Marlon Mack to be better, Chester Rogers to be better, fucking Jack Doyle to be better, everybody to be good.
We went over this last time. Andrew Luck
was really fast,
he was my quarterback 16, and yeah, I said most of that is because of injury. I'm just so hesitant. I mean, it's only the 9th round, so I get why you could take him there. But why take the risk if he hasn't proven that he can throw anything? That's just what I can't get behind. Like he fell in drafts last year, and it was the same kind of deal. It was like, oh, he'll be ready. He might miss a. Oh, right away it was, oh, he'll be ready for week 1. And then when he's not ready for week 1, it's, oh, he'll be coming back in a couple of weeks. Guess what? He wasn't back in a couple of weeks. And then it was like, oh, he's going to avoid PUP. He's going to be fine. He'll come back. And fantasy owners hung on, and they hung on, and they hung on. And the dude never saw the field once. So it's like, what have we seen him do? We've seen him throw a couple checkdowns with a flag football-sized football. I need to see more. I can't draft him.
I haven't. Okay, I knew I was taking an inheritor risk with Andrew Luck this year. This year, I'm not taking a risk, in my opinion. You're drafting him, and he's healthy, and he's ready. That's I feel like it's pretty clear. The Colts don't even talk like there's a thought or anything behind it. Last year it was all hesitation. It was all speculation. This year it's like he's already back. Like it's already like a guarantee. You can tell a difference in the tone of how they talk about his return. And like you read that body language, the way they speak, their eyebrows. Did you know that was a form of communication back in the day? And that's why eyebrows exist as a form of communication. and that's what you get.
Evolution has changed the eyebrows into a form of communication.
No, that's why they exist.
All these years, I thought it was to help the eyelashes and preventing dust to go into your eye.
It was as a form of communication.
I can get behind that. We could
No,
spend
it's not
an
behind,
entire
it's a fact.
episode debating Andrew Luck,
not
and I'd
behind.
rather spend an entire episode debating the purpose of eyebrows.
It's not
But
debate. It's a fact. Look it up.
I'll look it up when we're done. Go on to your next quarterback.
Russell Wilson finished as QB1 last year. He ran away with it by like 50 fucking points.
He did.
His defense is worse. He's gonna have to continue to do the same thing. He's gonna have to run around. He's gonna have to throw it a lot. He's gonna put up good numbers. And the next two guys I just think are better quarterbacks than he is, and that's the only reason I rank those two higher than him. But he's just naturally going to have to put up those same numbers as the last year. I just think these next two quarterbacks are better, and will put up more points.
Yeah, so I've got Wilson ranked 4th. He's going as the 9th pick in the 5th round as quarterback 4. I think that's
What?
properly ranked. He's just not
yeah.
probably the pick for me. You mentioned him being the QB1 last year. He ran away with it. I think it was, 40-some points. He's always near the top of fantasy rankings, it seems like, and fantasy stats. He's got that combination of pass touchdowns and the ability to run. He's actually thrown 34 touchdowns 2 of the last 3 years. We used to think of Seattle as this run-first, run-only type of team with really not that many weapons outside of Doug Baldwin and Jimmy
He
Graham.
runs first. Russell Wilson runs first.
He has to. He didn't have an offensive line. That is
He
what
had
Russell Wilson
743
did.
yards rushing.
So, like I was saying, though, they had Doug Baldwin, they had Jimmy Graham. So the big question, I think, this year is how does that loss of a tight end, of a security blanket, of a big body in the red zone like Jimmy Graham, how is that going to affect Russell Wilson in the red zone in fantasy football? I think that's the biggest question you have surrounding him. So because of my disinterest in Seattle this year, I think that they're going to struggle a little bit. I originally had Russell Wilson as my second-ranked quarterback, and I've dropped him to number 4 right now, just because there's a couple more questions around that team this year than I feel like there has been in the past, especially now that he's lost Jimmy Graham.
And that's why I vaulted him up. I think it's just because of the question, so he has to do everything now.
Yeah, maybe he'll run in more.
Like, he started to do everything last year, and he had 586 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 34 touchdowns passing. I expect those rushing numbers and rushing touchdowns to go up, to be honest, and the passing touchdowns stay around the same, and Doug Baldwin to have a huge year. I just think they're going to lose a lot of games.
Nice. Who do you have? So Russell Wilson was your number 3?
Yep.
Who do you have at number 2?
Carson Wentz is number 2 for me. It took me forever last year to finally jump on the Carson Wentz train. But the more I watch this guy, the more I realize he's the closest thing to Aaron Rodgers as I have seen in the NFL. And I know that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. Carson Wentz is
The second.
he might be the second most talented. He might be.
You're high.
He is. God, he can get out of the pocket. He throws with accuracy. He's smart. He has like that skill set of Aaron Rodgers. He just doesn't have the Aaron Rodgers, like the it factor that Aaron Rodgers does. But I love everything about him. Like, there is nothing he runs the ball. He throws it accurate. He throws it far. He knows what he's doing. He's smart, and he's only in it was his 3rd year last year?
Yes.
And now he's in his 4th.
Well, he's with Goff, so.
Yeah. So it's his 3rd year this year? Yeah. He's ahead, way ahead of where I ever thought he'd be coming out of a school where he was in North Dakota or
North
some
Dakota
shit
State,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. The skill set he put on the field, and I hate Philadelphia, and I hate Philadelphia fans, and I'd hate to give them any ammo to just be more cocky, because they're already probably cocky enough. But he's not Philadelphia, man. He's a different. He's not. He plays for Philadelphia. He's not Philadelphia. He's a different breed of quarterback who's going to be he's going to be great. He's going to be a great quarterback, and you're going to see the Aaron Rodgers type numbers for him for a long time, and he's going to go down as like quarterback 1 for next 4 years after Aaron Rodgers retires.
So one thing you might be leaving out about your breakdown of Carson Wentz, I saw this on Twitter yesterday. He recently got married. That may hold him back a little
quarterback
bit.
5, by the way.
Okay, that has nothing to do with his marriage. But
Just last year.
what's one piece of wedding advice you would give for Carson Wentz?
don't do it.
He already did it. Get it annulled? Is that your advice?
Just run away.
All right. So, well, he's going to be easy to find if he's on the football field, so I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, just keep banging other girls then.
There you go. That was the best advice you could have given. All right, so I've got Carson Wentz. I moved him up. You've talked me into him enough. I've read enough about him. He's my quarterback 7, so obviously not as high as you are on him, not as high as his ADP, going as the second pick in the 6th round, quarterback 5. Just a little too high for me still. I just don't really believe every single player that has a knee injury is Adrian Peterson, and they're going to end up having a career year once they get back. I'm just a little hesitant here.
Okay, Tannehill.
There's so many other options that we've talked about, not only in this podcast, but in the other one, that are healthy quarterbacks, that are guys that have done it, have gotten the job done. Why would you take Carson Wentz early in the 6th when he got hurt, what was it, week 15 or 16, with a major knee injury, and he's coming back and you expect him to be Aaron Rodgers-esque week 1 right away?
Yes.
I don't think you can do that, man. I just don't think you can do that.
Guess how many rushing touchdowns he had last year?
17.
0. Asshole. 0 rushing touchdowns. You expect Carson Wentz to have 0 rushing touchdowns? Those numbers are just going to go up, and he finishes quarterback 5 with 2 weeks that he missed.
That is impressive. All right, so I'm going to tell you why I like Carson Wentz, though. His playmaker, so he's got Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, recently acquired Mike Wallace. See how he pans out. Zach Ertz, a tight end that's had hype around him forever, it seems like, and he finally put it together. And then he's got 3 running backs that are going to split the work and get the job done. Now I'm going to tell you why I don't like Carson Wentz. Once again, it's because he's injured, and I don't want to draft a quarterback in the 5th or 6th round 1 year after he got hurt. That's what it boils down to for me.
Dude, why do you put so much stock in this, like, injuries? It's like we're in 2018 and you think that ACL fucks him up? Like, give me a fucking break. So then you shouldn't have Deshaun Watson ranked in your top 5 then either.
I just told you I was going to move him down a little bit.
It's his second ACL injury for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, you're talking about Carson Wentz in his first?
I plead the 5th.
Okay.
All right, so he's your number 2. We'll just skip past your number 1. We'll go on to my guys.
That's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Just Aaron Rodgers. Game over. Next. You go ahead. I don't need to say anything. I mean, if you don't know, then you shouldn't be playing fantasy football.
Just like that. That's your analysis. We'll get to more Aaron Rodgers because
I will insult everybody.
I'm really banking on you to say a little bit more so I can try to bring you back.
I will say everything about him every other goddamn podcast. What do I need to do now?
Well, you've actually already talked about him quite enough in this one. So.
Exactly.
All right, let me go through mine here. 12 was Matt Ryan. We talked about. 11 was Phillip Rivers.
We didn't talk about him this podcast.
We did not talk about him yet, so I'll hit on him really quick because you already talked about him in the last one. He's my 11th ranked quarterback. He's going as the second pick in the 10th round. I think I talked a little bit about this last time. I think that's way underrated. I wouldn't hesitate for a second if he's on the board. He's finished as a quarterback 1 the last 5 seasons. He literally finished as quarterback 8 the last 2 seasons. Missing his tight end, yes, but he's got Keenan Allen. He's got Tyrell and Mike Williams. He's got Gordon out of the backfield, who's asked to be more of a pass catcher. Plenty of offense, even without a tight end, for Phillip Rivers to finish as a quarterback 1. And I just wrote in our latest blog, power rankings for every single team. I really think that Rivers is going to dive in this year. He's taken that team to new heights. The Chargers are my team picked to win that division. I think they could challenge for the AFC, and I think that Rivers can be relied on as your quarterback 1 in fantasy. So, yeah, in the 10th round, sign me up for all the Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I had Phillip Rivers at 13, so I'm only a couple spots off. I talked about him last podcast, but I think he's right where he's supposed to be. He's got the weapons. I would like him to see again, as I said, I'd like him to see him get a tight end to help him out a little bit and make me more excited. But I mean, Keenan Allen, I think he's got wide receivers there with Tyrell Williams and who's the other little fucker?
Mike Williams, your boyfriend?
No, the little guy.
Travis Benjamin?
Yeah, Travis Benjamin, and then he's got Mike Williams who might act as his tight end. I don't expect any different from last year.
Yeah, and then the only one that we haven't talked about that I had that you didn't was my quarterback 5, which was Deshaun Watson. And if you've listened to the podcast in the past, we've beat this this topic down to the ground, so I won't talk too much about him. I do think the first pick in the 4th round is way too high for him for basically all the reasons that we've discussed. Coming back from injury, his fact that how many games has he played? A little more than a handful.
7.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of question marks there. You've got a lot of guys who could finish with a similar amount of fantasy quarterbacks 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 rounds later if you're looking at a guy like Phillip Rivers. I don't think that you can take a guy like Deshaun Watson in the 4th round with all those question marks surrounding him when you have the ability to get a guy that you're going to start every single week at either running back or wide receiver. So I like Watson. I'm not nearly as low on him as you are, but 4th round is way too rich for me.
Yeah, way too rich.
You talked about him, so let's go on to our consensus number 1. I'll start this one, and then I'll let you kind of fill in the holes because you're our in-house Aaron Rodgers expert. So our consensus number 1, he's going as the 3rd pick.
Don't sound so excited.
I know. He's going as the 3rd pick in the 3rd round. Or in the 3rd round, quarterback 1. I would probably say he's properly ranked. He's literally the closest thing to a guarantee to put up consistent points every single week, and he's still going to provide you those boom weeks. You've got a guy like Deshaun Watson who, he's going to have a boom week here or there, but he might put up a stinker. Whereas Rodgers, man, he's gonna.
He might put up a stinker.
He might put up a little stinky.
Little stinky boom.
But Matt Rodgers is going to be so consistent every single week, and he's going to give you that boom action. So I'm with that. Just one quick backstory on Rodgers. So I took him last year in a league, and I was so anti-taking quarterback. But the fact that he was still on the board, I don't remember what round it was. Everyone seemed to take this late round quarterback strategy. So I'm like, screw it. I'm going off my strategy. I'm taking him. And it handicapped my team, not because he's Aaron Rodgers, not because I took a quarterback early, but because he got hurt.
Yeah.
So, if you're taking him, you're missing out on that impact wide receiver, running back in the 3rd round. But the problem here is if you take Rodgers that early, you're going to try to load up on as many skill players after because you had to take him in the 3rd round. And what kills you is if he gets hurt, you're not in a rush to grab a backup quarterback at all.
Anybody can get hurt. The fuck are you talking about?
No, I know that, but you're not hearing me out.
Yeah.
If you take Rodgers, you're set on him because no matter who he plays, if he's playing the best defense in the league, you're never sitting him. So you don't give a shit about a backup quarterback. So you're never taking one. So if he does get hurt, it's going to kill your team a little bit. But you can't worry about that because injuries happen. So I'm just saying last year was a fluke. That's why you shouldn't be scared. If he falls to you and you want to take a quarterback, by all means, take him. Because, you're not going to get a good backup quarterback. You don't need one. You're never going to bench Rodgers. It just sucks if he gets hurt. If he doesn't get hurt, you're going to be just fine.
Yep. I don't have much. I think I had something to add, but it's just Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to talk about him 1 million times, and then you guys are going to see it every week. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to shit on every Viking fan every week this year.
So
every fucking week.
Instead of giving us Aaron Rodgers
every fucking week, you pussy-ass Viking fans.
Today, what you're going to do is you're going to just mix it in through the rest of the offseason, through the rest of the regular season, through playoffs.
Pussy-ass Viking fans.
Maybe even into the Pro Bowl because they ain't going to make the Super Bowl. Breaking news.
Yeah, okay. Pussies.
All right. You got anything else you want to add?
If you've made it this far, Mitchell, I'm challenging you to a boxing match for being such a little girl. So nobody
Mitchell
say
Renz,
anything.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Mitchell Renz. So don't say anything, Ben. Don't say anything to anybody. But if he listens to it, I would love to see if he makes it this far. I'm challenging him to a boxing match for being such a pussy. So that's a challenge.
Challenge is out there. Shots have been fired. We love Mitchell, but we got a little beef with him right now, so we're going to have him on sometime to discuss that.
All right.
But all right, as always, find us on Twitter. We're at LoadedBox. Check out the website for our latest blogs, fantasy rankings. We're at loadedboxpodcast.wordpress.com. The next episode, we will most likely talk about some running backs. But the only reason I wanted to say that is just so I could just throw this song in there as DJ requested the last time we did this. So,
Nice.
So I don't know what we're gonna do for the next episode, but thanks Dr. Dre for sitting in the back of my house here and kicking that beat for us while we're here. As always, we're available on iTunes by searching Loaded Box. Subscribe, rate, and review. And with that, DJ, send us out.
Bye.